Storm, earth, and fire, heed my call.
What's up everyone, it's Waves and today I have a new M+ commentary for you guys. We're playing a 24 TOP, and even though people told me that this current week, like Tyrannical, Sanguine, Storming is like one of the, if not the worst week to push a Tyrannical TOP, we still got a pretty good group together last night with Skeleton, Cyber, Elgott and Ashy. And we had good communication, we talked about our cooldowns a lot, and I think we did a really good job in the key. And I would just say I commentate you guys through the key and show you a little bit of why Enhance is like that good in theater. And I think it's gonna be quite apparent why that is. So I would just say we start the video and I talk you guys through it. So in the beginning I will use my Invis belt instead of an Invis potion. This is a little bit risky. You can make sure as an Enhanced Shaman to pop Sprint, because it will shift you out of Spirit Wolf if you use your Invis belt. So you will be pretty slow, so make sure to pop your Astro Shift, not Astro Shift, sorry, your Spirit Walk before you use your Invis belt, and then you will have the speed while Invist. And the reason for using Invis belt instead of Invis potion is just that I can have a damage potion here on boss, because it is a 24 Tyrannical, so we need a lot of boss damage. And yeah, just take care that if you get the backfire, that you notice it and can react to it appropriately. So we Bloodlust here, we use all of our cooldowns, and we just start funneling into Destia. We still have the Bloodhorn on the boss, which we have a little bit of an issue here, which is that I got aggro and I got stunned. Like, it would have been possible for me to react to having aggro with Astro Shift or health potions and whatever, but having aggro from funneling into Destia and getting stunned and not broken out by this out of the stun at the same time led to me dying here. Unfortunate, but we got the Bloodhound down, so it's all good. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a Shaman, right? So we got Ankh. That's not that big of a deal, I would say, even though it kind of scuffed my cooldowns and I'm way far behind on the damage meter right now. But we're gonna catch up, it's gonna be all good. And now we just gotta make sure that we kill Destia. And as a Shaman, you can always interrupt the Searing Death on the Satchel, by the way, because it lines up perfectly with your interrupt cooldown. So what I like to do when I'm the only Shaman in the group is I will just tell people that I will always get the Searing Death on Sether, and then just let them do the other interrupts, basically. Of course, sometimes when you're in a group, for example, with like interrupts where you're the only ranged interrupt, then it can be better to just interrupt whatever mob is far, so they get stacked up all together, so you can get more cleave, basically. But it always helps just being vocal with your group and telling them what the plan is, because in higher keys it gets more and more important to not overlap your kicks and not waste your kick cooldowns and stuff like that, because casts can straight up just kill you, not only from bosses but even from trash, even if it's a Tyrannical week. So yeah, talking about interrupts, very important. And yeah, we did a good job though at the first boss, I would say. And even though I got killed and scuffed my damage a little bit, I'm not doing too bad. And if anything, then the first boss has a lot of like AoE, I would say, where like the Windwalker and the Boomy can shine in the beginning. So all good, it wasn't that big of a deal that I died. It took us like a little bit over 3 minutes, I think, to kill the first boss here, which is perfectly fine for timing this key. And yeah, now we already have the second one down almost, and then we can just finish off the last one. And then go downstairs into the rest of the dungeon and see what route we actually end up playing here. I think the plan was to not play the Tormentor first, but on the way down, Skeleton seemed to have forgotten that we didn't want to play it first and instantly pulled it, which is fine though, because you can see right at the end of this fight I got Ascendance and Doomwinds coming off cooldown, so I will most likely just use it on the Tormentor. And especially since we have Frenzy, even though Frenzy is a 3-minute cooldown and Ascendance is a 3-minute cooldown, there's a big difference between the cooldowns, and that is that Frenzy is more valuable, basically. So while we want to play around Frenzy, especially on TOP, because in TOP, to make the best use out of a Boomy is quite difficult. We have to optimize the Frenzy usage, basically, throughout the dungeon. So I'd rather just throw an Ascendance at a single target mob, for example like a Tormentor, instead of Frenzying it, so we can do like bigger pulls with Frenzy. And that's kind of exactly what I'm doing here. Like, we actually used Frenzy as well, so this is not the greatest example for what I was trying to say, but you will see it later on throughout the key, that I will tell Ashy that, for example, I will use Ascendance here so he can hold his Frenzy for like one more pack and then use it on a boss, for example, or something like that, right? You definitely don't want to hold Frenzy for too long, but you also don't want to waste it, so it's definitely important, especially in high keys, to talk with your group about the cooldown usage, and it will make the key way easier. And yeah, so we get the first Tormentor down here, and we will take the power. We get the dagger here, of course, in TOP, especially in Tyrannical. The dagger is really important because it does so much single target damage, and having that right off the bat here is really beneficial. Now we play souls here. I think we take 9 at the beginning, and I'm not gonna lie, we scuffed this pack a little bit. Like, the way that we played this pack was anything but optimal. So the healer had to use Link here because he almost died, which using Link that early in the pack is not what you want to have happening, but I think he did it correctly because he otherwise would have died. Then we have a really weird ring here that kind of spreads the mobs instead of like putting them all to one side, which in that situation it's obviously hard to find the perfect place for a ring, but it just scuffs the pull a little bit here, so I have to Night Fape Link in, take care to not step into the green zones on the floor, and dodge the Sanguine as well and the Storming, while trying to do competitive damage and getting interrupts on the Bind Soul. But we still got it. We just have to dodge the green things here a little bit. Like, optimally you don't want to play these souls in here, but since that's the way that we run the mobs, that's just what we have to deal with. And then we walk over here, we get the last 3 souls, and we thought he would pull them in here, but then he didn't actually end up pulling them in, so we ran back out again. The healer dies, but he got Ankh. As with me earlier, I mean, we're Shamans, right? Like, we gotta get Ankh on cooldown. And now we pull the souls in here, and we will just cleave them down. I won't use Doom Winds here because up next we have the Guardian and the Tormentor that we want to play together. Like, that's gonna be a very efficient pull. You do that pretty much in every week, not only in Tyrannical but also in Fortified, because it's not that difficult if you have cooldowns for it, and it's just one mob that you have to interrupt, so you definitely want to have cooldowns for this. Then I just focus the Tormented guy, and then you want to focus the Portal Guardian so that he only gets 1 damage face off, basically, like 1 Soul Storm, and that's pretty much it. You want to kill him after that. It's also beneficial if you're playing Enhance to either have Fate Transfusion if you're Night Fae, or Chain Harvest if you're Venthia, or maybe even Vesper Totem if you're Kirin, to have a heal prepared for this. Like, depending on how good your healer's handling it, you may need it, which is why I transfused here to have the healing stored, and then we just killed the Portal Guardian pretty quickly, so we didn't actually end up needing the heal, but it's nice to have when you need it. So yeah, definitely very important in general in every key, especially in higher keys, that when you play Enhance and you either got Chain Harvest or Fate Transfusion, you don't want to just greed it for damage every time, but think about ahead, like what is coming in the dungeon. Do you want to keep it for healing the group? Does your healer struggle sometimes? Like, does he need support? Whatever, right? You get the point. And yeah, try to not hold it all the time as well, though. Like, you definitely want to use it for damage here and there as well. You just gotta get a feeling for your group and find out like when you want to use it. These Bone Spears here, by the way, even in Tyrannical and very high keys, these one-shot, just straight up. If one of these is not interrupted, someone dies. And yeah, that's why we have to make sure that we get interrupts here. But we have a very good setup for interrupts. Except for Ashy with the 1 minute beam. Even though beam is pretty good because it's an AoE interrupt. But we have double Shaman kicks, we have 2 more melee kicks, and we have like the Avenger's shield from Skeleton as well. So interrupt wise, we have a very good setup. And yeah, that's pretty good. So on this pack I use Ascendance again. Actually I use every cooldown here and just funnel into the Portal Guardian. Pretty much what you want to do, especially in Sanguine, is just focus the Portal Guardian because it has so much HP and you don't want to cast it 2 Soul Storms. And you can just keep interrupting the 2 small mobs, especially if you have like an interrupt setup as we do. If you don't, then you can kill the small ones first as well, but you have to heal through 2 Soul Storms, which is not beneficial. So here it actually got a little bit sketchy, but we finished it off before it started. It finished the cast. And yeah, now we're playing the side pack here. And you can see on these packs, like, because you have so many low target packs, it's not exactly single target, but it's not a lot of targets either. Having a 60-second cooldown being Doom Winds is insane for Theater. Like, I got damage pretty much on every single pack, if not like every other, if not every pack. And I just got burst on a 60-second cooldown, which is so beneficial for this key, while for example, the Boomy has to wait 3 minutes, and some other specs have to wait quite a bit as well. So it's just nice to have. So right here I have damage again. We want to focus the small ones here, the Bone Magus, because the plan is to chain the Spinny Boy into the side packs, which is pretty much what you always want to do, because the Bone Reaver is not doing anything. Like, it's just following you, then you have to dodge the shit on the floor and dodge the Bone Storm, and that's pretty much it. Like, there's nothing else going on. And that means that you can just play the side packs on top of it and don't really have to worry about the Bone Reaver. And then while you walk over, you could just either kill him in funnel, not in funnel, in cleave completely when you play the packs, or just hit him while you're walking over to the next pack a little bit. And you can see how that worked out. We pretty much cleared the whole room here. And yeah, we still gotta make sure to get the Bone Spear interrupts though. That's very important. And then as all the packs are dead, the Bone Reaver is about to die as well, and we can continue to the next pack. And we pretty much just played that very clean so far. Now this platform is very sketchy for some people, and especially in Storming, because you have the Death Winds here that will potentially kick you off the platform. There we can see it from the Dark Speaker. And if we have Storming on top, that just creates like a platform that is very tiny with a lot of like circles that can potentially knock you off the platform. And falling off the platform here is sketchy as fuck, because you can't just get battle rest. You have to release, and it will take you a while to get back to this point again, because the run back is very long, just due to having all of these portals in between, right? So definitely, if this takes a little bit longer to kill, that's no big deal. But what will be a big deal is if you fall down from the platform. So try to not do that. And if you don't, then you just do it as we did, and we can continue to the next boss. It's very nice to play this one second, because you want to have Bloodlust for this boss again, which we do. This is, especially in Tyrannical Weeks, this is the most healing intensive fight. So make sure that if you can off-heal, which in our group, legit every single group member can off-heal, do it. You definitely want to support your healer here a little bit if he's struggling. Actually, Cyber did a really good job. We will see that on this boss fight. But yeah, specifically some healers that play this boss on high keys are struggling here. It depends on the spec as well. I think Resto Shaman has a pretty easy time healing everyone here, especially if you're stacked in the middle. But other than that, yeah, just help him. So we wait for the first draw soul, then we Bloodlust, pop all of our cooldowns, and just full send it, basically. It's a little bit unfortunate here that I get picked by this draw soul during my cooldowns, but I can actually finish my Doom Winds window here. And my Ascendance actually just ended when I got stunned, so I didn't even lose anything. And then I got the damage buff afterwards. It's a little bit unfortunate that I didn't get the first one. But you can see, I mean, the Monk is blasting just as much. And the Boomy is still in his frenzy right now. He will get stunned down now in his frenzy, unfortunately. And the boss is already down to like almost 60%. And that means that our burst was pretty successful, I would say. And yeah, the healer's still at like 55 to 60% mana. So shouldn't be an issue there. But as I said, if we need it, like legit every single member of this group can off-heal, which is very, very nice. If you play something like like a melee cleave comp as an enhance with a warrior and a rogue, for example, then sometimes the off healing will be only you. So you gotta make sure that you do what you can. Keep healing stream down if you need it. Make it easier for the healer when you astral shift stuff. For example, if you get the parasites and you don't have a priest that can MD and he only dispels one and it's not you, that you astral shifted for sure. Or when you get the draw soul, that you just shifted as well, especially later on in the fight when mana is low and he doesn't have that many cooldowns anymore. But at this moment in time, like we're below 30% HP, the healer still has Link, he has Ascendance, he still has like half his mana. So I don't think that we are in that much trouble. And yeah, we're just pumping and pumping and pumping. And pretty much I would say, if you get past this point, then the hardest part of the dungeon is done, in my opinion. Like I've played a lot of theater keys this season, and I would say if the key doesn't rip on first boss in a tyrannical week, then it's this boss. So since we're past the first boss already, once we're done with this boss, then we're looking at a good key, I would say. And yeah, I mean, you can see the boss is down to like 12% now, and we get the Link here, very good Link. He almost hit it to where I could stand in this in these grippy hands and still be in the Link, but I was still fine. So I didn't even need to astral shift here. Of course, it would have taken a little bit of damage out of the fight, but I wanted to keep it for a moment where it was actually necessary, and we just didn't get to that moment. So yeah, definitely a good job from the healer and from everyone off healing here. And yeah, we just blasted it, and then we can continue on. You may notice that I'm playing Nature's Guardian instead of Feral Lunge. Usually I always play Feral Lunge in almost every key, but I've noticed that in like very high keys, since I started playing 24s and even tested some 25 keys, that Nature's Guardian helps a lot in keys. You have to get used to the mindset though. Like I was very used to being able to have the charge, but if you get used to it not having the charge, then Nature's Guardian is definitely very beneficial. Right here you want to focus the guy that shoots, which is why I'm using all of my cooldowns here to just finish him off, and then you can chain Sogodon onto this, and that is exactly what we do here. So I just use my Ascendance to finish off the shooting guy, and then we have the two the conscripts on Sogodon, which is a pretty easy chain. Like there's not that much going on. You can just stun them here and there so the damage on the tank doesn't get overwhelming, and yeah, then you just have 2 additional free cleave targets for Sogodon. So as an enhance, that means that we just get more and more funnel to get Sogodon down even quicker. And yeah, you just gotta pay attention here with the storming, because storming sometimes can be in a very tough spot and knock you back into the massive smash and stuff like that. So even though it's not the hardest affix, it can be annoying at times, and especially if a dungeon is like as clumped up as a theater, then sometimes it can be difficult to handle the affix, I would say. But we get the whole pack down. Sogodon is also almost down. And then we can continue with a double mini-boss, which is very efficient, what you can do in high keys here. Ashi's gonna go over and activate the next mini-boss already before we pull this one. And then I wouldn't recommend this in fortified weeks probably, but in tyrannical weeks you can easily do that. Just pull the 2 mini-bosses into the first room here, pull them together, and then just cleave them down equally. You gotta make sure to get the interrupts though, that's very important. And yeah, then you pretty much just you just gain a lot of time while doing this, because not only do you kill both of them at the same time, but so many specs in the game, they benefit from having multiple targets to funnel more damage into one of them, which like yeah, Enhancement is a very good example of that. So very good that we are doing that here. You just gotta dodge the weapons that are spinning around here. You gotta dodge the charge. You gotta dodge the whirlwind. And you gotta take care for the interrupting roar if you're a caster. So yeah, actually not that difficult. We even got the storming going on top. So there's not that much room for us to move. But since we pulled it in this room here, like if you play it in the hallway or downstairs, like where the second mini boss is, you're definitely limited in space. And there's also like the patrol going left and right, so you risk pulling that as well. So playing it in here is just 100 times better than pulling it into the other room. And yeah, you gotta make sure to just have enough room. And yeah, cleave them down equally, which is what we're doing here. And you can see that we got Frenzy coming up in 20 seconds. And this was very awkward for us in terms of cooldown management. Because, yeah, we wanted Frenzy for the boss, right? So, since we played the second mini-boss with the first one together, though, and we wanted to invis skip the patrol, we will just have one more mini-boss before the boss. And this is exactly where I said to Ashy that I can just use my Ascendance on the next mini-boss. So even though it's not nice holding Frenzy, he can just hold it for a little bit and use it on boss. Because, yeah, it would have been worth it to use the Frenzy on the mini-boss and then Ascendance on the next boss, in my opinion. So, yeah, as I said earlier, I will, in quotations, throw away my Ascendance. So that we can have a more efficient Frenzy, basically. Because we all know that a Frenzy does more damage than an Ascendance. But an Ascendance is enough to get this guy down very quickly. And we can just hold stuff. I actually don't think that that the Monk is even using anything. He could have potentially used his Bone Dust Brew, I think. Like a 1-minute CD. Like, yeah, you can see my Doomwinds will be ready again for the boss fight, right? But that is with the duration of the mini-boss without him using Bone Dust. So maybe if he used Bone Dust, we would have been too quick and wouldn't have had our cooldowns. But yeah, you get the point. You can see the mini-boss is almost half dead. And I'm still blasting 13k DPS, so just using my cooldowns, not even all of them, like I saved Wolves, like I didn't have it. I just used Ascendance Doomwinds. Was good enough to save the time to where it's justifiable to delay Frenzy. And yeah, not use it basically. It's sometimes a rough decision depending on the situation in the dungeon and what dungeon you're playing. But yeah, you gotta make sure to not have the biggest cooldown overlaps and actually just plan to use them in the correct manner to where you have them when you need them. Because especially this next boss can take ages. Sometimes depending on what cooldowns you have and who gets sent down into the arena and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely make sure to have good cooldowns here. He even pre-frenzies it to rack up some stacks. And we gotta make sure to delete oppressive banners. If your Doomwind's late here into the pull, like a couple of seconds late, you can still get your Sunder onto the boss and the banner, which is kinda nice. And yeah, then you can just destroy the first banner with the rest of your Doomwinds. And we hope that I get thrown into the first arena. Because what I like to do, the arena takes so long sometimes. Like the most important part is phasing quickly. And Fate Transfusion from Night Fae is insane. Like, watch this, how quickly I face this guy. Or like how quickly I kill the monk. Like that was like a 2 to 3 second fight. And even though I don't have cooldowns right now for the damage buff, it's very efficient to have us all up here again to kill the banner very quickly. And yeah, don't have the issue basically where we could die to the combo that he's doing because of the banner being still alive. So definitely the damage that you gain on boss with Fate Transfusion, I think you just gain more boss damage by using Fate Transfusion on your group member and saving like, I don't know, like 7 to 10 seconds of boss damage from all party members instead of just having one upstairs and you fighting endlessly in the arena. Like I think you get the point. And yeah, so now we just kill the banner here. And we have the next combo. Boss is already down to like 50%, which is nice. We're doing a lot of damage. And it was good that the Boomy didn't get sent down here. And we will get Bloodlust in like 3 seconds. So after this next Blood and Glory, we do have the Bloodlust available. We weren't sure at this point in time, like exactly if we wanted to use it. But yeah, we will see if we do in a second. It takes me ages to kill Ashy because he has so much fucking self-healing, it's actually insane. And then his conduits keep proccing and whatever the fuck. So I just try my best to kill him and finally I get him down. It was actually kind of good to delay it for my cooldowns, like personally. Because now I got the damage buff and I can use Ascendance and Wolves and Doomwinds and everything. And then, while I'm in my cooldowns already, we decide to use Bloodlust. So I used it. I lost a little bit of value there because we weren't sure if we wanted to Bloodlust it still or hold it for the next pack. But it wasn't that much of a damage loss. Just a little bit. I would have gained like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 more seconds in cooldowns in Bloodlust. But it is what it is at the end of the day. So Right here you saw me use Fate Transfusion on the boss, just because I knew that the boss is low enough to where the next arena won't even matter anymore. Like the boss is at 12%, so I thought it would even die a little bit quicker, but it didn't. At least this time I have an easier time killing Ashy, because I think this time he shifted out of Boomkin form. I think last time that was kind of the issue, that he was in Boomkin form and he has way more armor there. So we decide to not kill the last banner and just dodge this. And yeah, just finish off the last 5% while being slowed a lot. But I got the Night Fabling, so it's all good. And we get Zeph down here. 2 bosses to go and some trash. So we still got 13.5 minutes. And at this point, we were talking about if the timer is still good. But Skeleton was very, very concerned that the timer is fine. And the timer is very fine if you still have 2 bosses. And a little bit of trash, that's very much doable in 13 minutes. So in this room, you always want to go double. You want to make sure to get the interrupts. And I'm not gonna lie, this was a little bit sketchy here. Because it was a little bit... we had some overlaps with stuns and beams and interrupts and everything. So yeah, a little bit of a sketchy room. But as long as you get the interrupts, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Especially in Tyrannical weeks. In Fortified weeks, it's probably like very, very sketchy to play this together. Some groups still do it, but yeah. Not sure if I would recommend that. But yeah, in a Tyrannical week, you can definitely do it. And yeah, as I said, like the small ones die pretty quickly, but the pack can still take a while just because it's a 24 and you want to kill them equally as well because of the Sanguine. But yeah, you definitely still save time if you play them together, even though it takes you a while to kill, especially the big ones at the end here. And by the way, since I'm just noticing it right now a little bit much, I'm sorry that I sound a little bit sick, but yeah, my nose is kind of scuffed at the moment, breathing wise. So I'm sorry if I sounded a little bit ill throughout the key. And yeah. So now in this pack, we also don't do a good job on this pack. Like we do a horrible job at this pack actually, just because we're not stacked and the smallies are jumping throughout the hallway all the time, which is very annoying. You want to avoid that by just stacking all in one place. So they just like jump at the same place all the time, because my cleave is kind of killed here. I couldn't get good cleave in, but it wasn't horrible. Like I still managed to time my crashes and my Sunder when they are semi-stacked up. And now you want to skip the Frost guy. I played another 24 theater this week, and we depleted it by 1 minute 39 seconds, just because we played the Frost guy. Like the Frost guy was that 1.5 minutes basically that we needed at the end. So definitely skipping Frost guy is a good thing here. Like the end boss is definitely manageable with the Frost debuff. You just have to take care a little bit, but it's definitely manageable. And yeah, if you need to save some time, definitely skip that one, in my opinion. And yeah, right here I pull aggro. We wanted to pull next pack, but Skeleton decided to not do it because I had aggro here on the big guy. And what you want to do here is basically you want to play this beginning pack. Then you want to pull the smallies from the hallway without pulling the big guy. Then invest the big guy and take the 2 ones in front of Gorchop into the Gorchop fight. And what that will do is that you will just have way more cleave on Gorchop and more funnel, especially as an enhance, which is very nice. And you don't have to play the big guy, which is also like a big gain in my opinion. So we gotta make sure to get the interrupt here on that caster. We use a big Sunder here on all of the smallies, and then we just cleave down this guy. Now we just gotta finish that pack. Then we skip again. I double Invis belted so far in this key. Like I haven't used a single Invis potion. It is a little bit risky because when your belt backfires, then you get fucked a little bit timing wise, because you have to wait for the debuff to run out before you can Invis then. But I just decided to go for it, and I got lucky 3 times, so that I can always use a damage potion on the boss after the Invis skip. Basically, that's why I've been doing it. And yeah. So we wait here for everyone to be ready, and we wait for the big guy to be gone so we can pull the 2 mobs here onto God Shop, which is what we're doing right now. And as I said, now we gain a lot of funnel out of these. You don't really need to focus them, you just want to let them die in cleave basically. They will die pretty quickly. Just if your tank starts to struggle a little bit, then you want to make sure to help him, of course. I get actually kind of fucked by the storming here, because the storming threw me in the air. I wanted to Nightfade blink it, but the hooks were coming, so I wasn't exactly sure where to blink to. And that is why I got kind of hit by the AoE from the storming there. A little bit unfortunate, but you know, we still got battle reses, so we just used one and it's all good. We get double hooked here, Skeleton and Ashy, but we got the defensive cooldowns for it, so it's all good. We got Bob and Survival Instincts there, so it's all good. And now the trash mobs are dead, so we can kind of just focus a little bit on the boss itself, which kind of means that the chaos from this pull is over and we can just play it down as usual. Not the hardest boss fight, it's just that if you don't have Bloodlust here in a Tyrannical week, of course it has a ton of HP and it will take a while to kill it. But yeah, we can see we have 8 minutes on the clock, 60% on God Shop. We still have to do the trash pack upstairs, like the one at the very beginning of the key. We still have to do that. And then last boss. But to be honest, last boss doesn't take too long, even in Tyrannical. Like, pretty much 100% to 50% is a little bit Resident Sleeper. But then once you get Bloodlust at like 50%, the boss just gets deleted. So, yeah, definitely not that big of a deal. It's just about the dodging, especially if you skip the Frost guy. That is like the one thing that you gotta watch out for on last boss, is that you don't die basically. Like damage wise, it's not a challenge at all. It's just keeping alive basically, staying alive, and then just, yeah, you get the point, right? So yeah, God Shop already down to like 40%, and I got Ascendance coming up here. So of course we're gonna Wolves this. We Doom Winds into a crash, and then we send the Ascendance. And you can see that just takes a huge chunk of the boss HP off while I'm in my Ascendance here. And yeah, definitely good that we could send that here, because you can see that Frenzy's coming up again at a weird time, because it will be ready in like 35 seconds. And the thing is, he definitely doesn't want to use it on this boss anymore, because you can see it's down to 22%. He still has 25 seconds of cooldowns. It's gonna be insanely wasted if we use it on God Shop still. But then again, on the pack in the beginning of the dungeon, because it's just 3 enemies that died rather quickly, it would have been giga wasted as well. So what we decided to do is we let me as the only one use cooldowns again on the pack upstairs and delete it, and the other people just hold cooldowns for the boss, so they don't have to waste it basically. Again, I think that we could have used Bone Dust as well on the first pack in the dungeon, but he will hold it as well to have it for the boss. The reason why we talk about Frenzy right here and why it was such a problem is that we want to get 2 more Frenzies into the key, right? And to get 2 more Frenzies in, that means he has to use it in the next 2.5 minutes. So that basically means in the next 2.5 minutes we have to have started the last boss fight. But we were pretty certain that when I use Doom Winds on the pack, that we will be quick enough to frenzy the boss, and then frenzy the boss again at the end. So yeah, again, as I said, talking about cooldowns very important. We pull the pack here, and I just send my Doom Winds here, and I can tell you guys it's enough. Like, just using a Doom Winds here is definitely more than enough if you need to save some time. You can see I'm bursting like 16, 17, whatever the fuck, K DPS. And like the caster's almost dead. And you can technically, you could just chain the whole pack into the boss. But we decided, because we had enough time, to just not do it. You can also just chain the 2 melee mobs into the boss. But honestly, it's just, if you have the time for it, I just wouldn't risk it, honestly. Like, especially if you have the slow debuff, you know. Then chaining this just to save a couple of seconds, it's just unnecessary in my opinion. Like 4.5 minutes is very much fine for the last boss. You don't need to overly rush it in my opinion. So we just make sure to cleave them down equally here, kill both, and then yeah, we pull the boss. We frenzy, of course, and my Doom Winds is almost ready again. I Fate Transfuse to just bridge the time before my Doom Winds is ready again. Then I Wolf's Doomwinds here. I keep my Ascendance because actually, in hindsight, I should have waited with my cooldowns like a couple of seconds to have Ascendance, then use everything basically, just because it would have meant that I get another Ascendance during this fight. But I decided to not do it because the only thing that matters on this fight is having burst at 50%. So that is why I held Ascendance for it, because I knew that we have enough damage easily to finish this key without me playing double Ascendance here on that fight. And yeah, so I basically just held it for a while and wasted one usage of Ascendance, but since I knew that we had the damage for it, it was just safer to have it at the 50% burst to make sure that it dies quickly there. And yeah, right here the boss is at 65%, and since it will take a while on Tyrannical to phase it to 50, I said to my team that I will just Doomwinds again. They should hold everything. Like you can see, the monk is holding Suen and Bone Dust for 50% for the Bloodlust. But I said that I can just Doomwinds this and then Bloodlust a little bit late, so that my cooldowns will be ready late into Bloodlust, which is exactly the plan here. You need to have around like 28 seconds left on cooldown on Doomwinds to make sure you still have it in Bloodlust if you use it. So yeah, you can see it 29, 28, 27, 26, and now it phases. So we're pretty much good to go for Bloodlust here. And actually, now that I see the key again, that is my usual planning for the Bloodlust cooldowns. But because we don't have Frenzy, we actually hold Bloodlust a little bit to have Frenzy again, which means that in retrospect, if I had known that before we started playing the boss that we would hold Bloodlust for Frenzy, I should have held my cooldowns a little bit in the beginning of the fight to use an Ascendance, and then I would have my second Ascendance as well during the Bloodlust at the end, you know? But actually, since Ashy died, we just Bloodlusted it. So the plan was to hold it for Ashy to use it, but because he died, we just Bloodlusted here. And yeah, I told him that I will res him once my cooldowns are done, but Skeleton actually said that he will res him instead, which is nice for my damage. And you can see that having Ascendance for Bloodlust, like you could see it in the damage meter, right, that it was very much worth it. You gotta make sure to dodge the Bloodhorn ghosts, whatever, here. They were lovely called Lamborghinis in our group. Yeah, you gotta make sure that you dodge them, especially with the Frost debuff. Like we're very much slowed all the time. So with all of these dodging mechanics, this is almost like a raid fight mechanic-wise. That you dodge all of that shit. You gotta make sure that you got that down. We still have a minute left when I use my last 2 wins here. I actually dodged that one very close, then I dodged that one very close and the frontal very close, but we got it. And that is pretty much the key. We got 52 seconds left. Yeah, not the closest key, but also not the most chilled key. We get 2 score from that, so that was nice. A 24 theater tyrannical timed in what some people say one of the hardest weeks for it. Yeah, it was very good. We played pretty optimal, I would say, like cooldown wise. And even though I died on the first boss during Bloodlust, during my cooldowns, I still managed to almost do 10k overall. And yeah, it just goes to show that Enhance is straight up insane at this key. And yeah, like if you ever need an argument for bringing an Enhance into this key, it's our cooldowns. It's having Doomwinds on a 60-second cooldown. It's insane for theater. So yeah, if there's any dungeon where we have a justification to be in the group, it's this one. And yeah, I hope that I did a good job showing you guys that. I'm sorry again that I sounded a little bit sick. Hopefully it wasn't too annoying for you guys. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoy watching. And yeah, then I guess I see you in the next video. Or on the live stream, whatever you prefer. Hope to see you then. Take care and stay healthy. And yeah, peace.